Joining me now to react is the House Majority Leader, Eric Cantor, Republican of Virginia. Congressman Cantor, thanks so much for being here. Let me get your reaction to these enrollment numbers.
Well, you know, pretty stunning. Just another day in a series of mess-ups in Obamacare. You really can't even tell what's going on here. They say 25,000 names and people who have apparently gone to the healthcare.gov website, but we don't know whether they purchased insurance or whether it's just in the shopping cart. And the same goes for the state exchanges. We don't really know. And this is the problem. I mean, any of these numbers pale into comparison with the millions of Americans who are receiving these cancellation notices. I mean, Jake, this is what the problem is right now, is millions of Americans are being told by their insurance companies that they can no longer have the health care they need because of Obamacare, or that they like.
Somebody from Richmond, Virginia. Now, these plans are being canceled because they don't meet the standards of Obamacare, the standards that would allow quality care, higher quality care, the Obama administration says, better care, covering more things. Is that not a good goal to have fewer what the Obama administration calls junk plans?
This has been the problem all along. When the President Obama thinks he knows better for families what they need, what they can afford, that's when things go awry. And again, millions of Americans who have actually chosen the plans that fit their budget and fit their health care needs are being told that you can't have those.
But surely you acknowledge that some of these plans are junk plans. Some of these plans don't actually cover health insurance when families need them. Some of these plans take advantage of individuals. Well, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them.
Well, I mean, but we're hearing from millions of Americans who say, I like my health care. And in fact, if you look at any of the public polling, most Americans who have health care insurance right now like their health care. These are the ones that we're talking about, frankly, and trying to help. And this is what the Fred Upton bill on the floor of the House this week will try and address. And it's not a total fix. I mean, listen, the only way you're going to stop these cancellation notices, the only way you're going to fix this is to repeal Obamacare. We've been there. The president says he won't do that. So this is one step towards trying to help people who are getting hurt right now.
Well, let's talk about fixing it. I want to play some sound from former President Clinton and also from Dick Durbin, the #2 Senate Democrat.
So I personally believe, even if it takes a change in the law, the president should honor the commitment the federal government made to those people and let them keep what they got.
I would say to President Clinton, if we can bring that bipartisan group together, we can start to solve some of the problems we're facing.
There's a bill in the House right now, as you mentioned, that would let insurance companies keep offering these plans that don't meet Obamacare standards for another year. But healthcare experts say this is going to be an administrative nightmare. Are House Republicans willing to work with Dick Durbin and Senate Democrats to try to fix some of these problems in a bipartisan way?
Look, what we have said all along is we want what's best for people's health care right now. We've never believed that Obamacare and its mandates and Washington knows best mentality is what's good for people's health care. So if the Democrats are now saying, you know what, we ought to let people choose, we ought not be imposing higher prices on people, and yes, we certainly want to work with them, but you know what, this is Bruno Gora, as you suggest, Jake, Richmond, Virginia constituent of mine, who says that now he not only can no longer have his health care coverage that he likes, he will be charged up to $3,400 more just because President Obama and Washington say that he should have the health care coverage that they say is appropriate, not for him.
And that is a story that we've been covering in the media for weeks, but there are other stories, positive ones, people who are benefiting from Obamacare. One of the TV stations in Richmond, WTVR, did a story recently of how Obamacare is affecting people in the community. There were some negative stories like the one you just shared. There were also some positive ones. They talked to two women, one signing up who doesn't have insurance, and a mother with special needs child. Take a listen.
His monthly medication bills, if I didn't have health insurance, would be over $1,000. It certainly gives me a level of comfort that I didn't have before.
If you actually have the opportunity to get affordable health care, because I currently don't have a job that offers health care.
So that's from Richmond TV station WTVR. I'm sure you're familiar with them. In addition, a Kaiser Family Foundation study found that more than 500,000 Virginia residents are going to be eligible for these subsidies, for these tax credits to help them. What do you say to people? I know what you say to these people, but what do you say to the people who are benefiting from Obamacare?
What we say is there is a better way for them to benefit and to have health care insurance that fits their needs. Republicans have always said in the House when Obamacare debate was ongoing in '09 is that there is a more efficient way to help those with pre-existing conditions. We don't feel that they ought to be denied coverage, but we ought not be raising prices on people like Mr. Gora here to say you have to pay $3,400 more.
But how do you do it? How do you bring in the special needs kid who would normally maybe be denied coverage because it's so expensive without asking other individuals to pay a little bit more?
What we have said is that we would believe in the creation of high-risk pools at the state level, properly and adequately fund them, and then ensure that the rates and premiums that they're charged don't exceed at least 100, 150% of the market rate for insurance. Absolutely, there are ways to do this. The problem now is, as we know, Jake, there's very little option for Mr. Gora, if he is in the individual market now, to buy a plan that best meets his need. In many instances, you're having 61-year-old men say, hey, we've got to have maternity coverage in a policy that I have to buy. That's exactly the point. Mr. Gora knows best what's for him, not Mr. Obama.
We only have about a minute and a half left, and I know you want to talk about Iran, a very important issue going on. You're wary of these negotiations that are going on right now between the White House, Western powers, and Iran. I want to play something of what Jay Carney said in response to opposition to these negotiations.
The American people justifiably and understandably prefer a peaceful solution that prevents Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And this agreement, if it's achieved, has the potential to do that. The American people do not want a march to war.
A march to war, Majority Leader Cantor. Is turning away from negotiations potentially leading to a march to war?
You know, I find that just astounding that the White House would say that a deal that would allow enrichment of uranium and building a plutonium reactor, something that is not a march to war. That's the march to war. The deal that was in the works, frankly, would allow Iran to continue its pursuit of nuclear weapons capability. And in fact, what we're trying to do in the Congress, as we already have done in the House, is to pass additional sanctions. And it's up to the Senate now because the House has passed the sanctions. You know, and I think, you know, what is very odd right now in the Middle East is you have the Arabs and the Israelis joined together in their sense that American foreign policy, as it's played out in that potential interim agreement, is something that is not helpful to the stability of the region. And in fact, those allies of ours are telling us to allow Iran the ability to continue to enrich or build a plutonium factor is a sure way to spawn nuclear proliferation and, God forbid, face a nuclear Iran.
So you're saying that the Obama administration has been able to unite the Israelis and the Arabs?
In an odd way, all of a sudden, that they're united against what our White House is pursuing in terms of policy.
House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, we always appreciate when you come by. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.